Let me get that so that it's not sunlight in my eyes. And we'll close that up a little bit. Here we go. All right. I finished the war game table downstairs. At least we finished putting it together. We're still organizing some stuff, but now that we've done most of that work, it's given me the opportunity. I can actually start putting together some more of the Necromunda terrain. My goal is to get through the Necromunda starter boxes and basically just get all the different terrain pieces out that I can get built, and then start painting them in bulk. In a little bit, I'll go downstairs and we'll actually take a look at the new table setup. But I want to finish these two sprues because my desk has been cluttered with Necromunda stuff for like the last week. Well, I haven't managed to actually get anything built or painted. So it's catch-up time. But the Lego town was like an issue that like I needed to get worked on for a while. So anyways, let me continue on. Let me get set to finishing gluing a few of these things together. We'll let people jump on, and then we'll go downstairs and look at the war game table. I think probably next week I will start to get things back onto my computer again, and I might even do some video game plays of what's the game called? Vermintide, because I need to capture footage from it, and it also was pretty fun. I actually enjoyed playing it. I'll also hopefully be starting putting together my Imperials soon. Oh, let me post a share link in my Discord. Copy link. I went to a new game store today, a new local game store. It's not actually that local to me. It's someone's local game store. It's out in Torrance, California. I hadn't been there before. It's called Lost Planet. It was a cool store because like you couldn't have found it if you didn't know it was there. And it was a neat game store, like just like the design and the overall setup of it, just like the way they had made it. I found it strange. Like I actually asked the guy who owned the store, like like why don't you have like a normal storefront? And he said, he never got like walk-in customers. He didn't get people off the street, so he decided to move it into like this warehouse district, and somehow he's managing to keep his store busy. I thought that was cool. All right. Gonna get a couple more of these things. How's it going, Mylan Rodriguez? So the pieces that I'm putting together right now are basically like door frame pieces. A lot of the thing I like about this Necromunda terrain is the modularity of it. Like a lot of this stuff comes apart, and then you can like set different pieces in place to change and alter the battlefield in a dynamic way. I think the boxes are pretty expensive for what you're getting, but the quality is also pretty high. And that's something I kind of had to weigh out when I was thinking about which terrain to get, because I really enjoyed a lot of the modular terrain that I've picked up, and I think it works well, but a lot of it ends up being pretty fiddly. Hey, how's it going? It's not Legos, but it's kind of like Legos. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you some of how it works. So they have these terrain pieces, right? So here's like the terrain pieces, but they connect together and they stick on. But you can also connect in like these bridges, right? And it has like a little locking section that goes here, and like look, see? And then you turn it like that, and it's like clapped on, right? Obviously, if you really want to, you can like glue those things together to make that bridge. If you want to glue them together, I'm not planning on it. They end up sticking pretty well. Like that's pretty stable. Let's see, even without a thing on the other side, yeah, I can easily get miniatures on there. So it It's basically the Zone Mortalis Necromunda stuff. And, you know, it's got like tons of little pieces. Oh, the painting. What painting do you mean? You mean like these things? This is, if you're referring to this thing from the thumbnail, this is the tank that I'm making with my son Riker. So right now we're kind of going with the red, yellow, blue color scheme. And I'm going to go with purple on the little front steamroller and purple on the crane and this cannon here. And I haven't actually finished the details out on this one. This is basically just like a rough overview. I haven't had a chance to actually paint in about a week or so. But I've magnetized all the top pieces, magnetized these here so that I can actually put them in different spots. And right now this steamroller piece unclips. So I'm going to continue painting this one probably next week. And my goal is to actually finish out this truck and finish out this truck and then get started on the last one, which is it's like a race car. This one's in tons of pieces. I haven't even bothered to put this one together yet because it's going to be so hard to paint if it's all like built. So thank you. I like the clunky colors too. This one is called, man, what is this one called? I have the codex for it. I think it's War Tank. I don't actually remember the name of this one. I have the codex for it, so I can find it still. It is essentially like a large orc war tank, and I decided to make it the red, yellow, and blue because red means it's fast. the blue means it's lucky, and yellow means it's wealthy, right? So orc paint job. This is actually the first like lore appropriate paint job I've done. Okay, like this one is technically lore appropriate as well, but this is like the first one that I went with that's like just lore appropriate. And the purple things means it's stealthy. So see, saw the Legos are gone. Yeah, all right, here I'll go downstairs and I'll give you an idea what I did with the whole Lego Town thing. Actually, we reorganized so much stuff this week. So I redid this whole painting desk area and stole this shelf out of my son's room and gave him a different shelf setup. So I got the Citadel colors or the Citadel contrast paints plus some of the fluorescents. These are like kind of my main go-to paints. And then shades. I'm trying out some of the AK stuff because a bunch of the people at the game stores have said it's really good. And I want to give it a try. Today at the game store, I actually found a bunch of these weird like marker paints. So I'm going to see how those work. I got to try this gunmetal one. And I only did that right there, like that little spike coming off there. That I did with the little gunmetal paint. So they're pretty cool. But yeah, let's go take a look at the war game table and the Lego Town. My blood splatters. Oh yeah, I haven't really done big blood splatters on the orc tank yet. I plan on putting big blood splatters on the front spiky thing. So I moved a bunch of the roads from the Lego Town up here into Riker's room. So he basically has like a giant racetrack, the Death Star, and then like this huge parking lot where he can just build chaos vehicles because he loves just making chaos vehicles. Like this is kind of, this is his jam. You know, he takes a vehicle, he tears it all apart, and he makes something else with it. So we just moved the roads and a bunch of the vehicles here. And then downstairs, hello amigos to you. How's it going? I was referring to the table that used to have lots of Lego cities. Sad to see them go. No, I am very sad to see them go as well. Like that's it's a Lego city that I've been putting together since my son was about 2, and it took a considerable amount of time and consideration to decide that it was worth it to make a war game table. Here's the chaos of the Lego Town, and you can see a bunch of the modular buildings. Here, let me turn on the lights. So I got this table all wired up. I have one switch that turns on the lights to everything. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. So lights coming on, and then I have lights underneath it so we can see through all the bins and everything. this is like what's going to be remaining for the Lego town here. And then the modular buildings I'm just going to leave here for now. Both my son and I really love playing war games together. Like I like playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. I like playing Kill Team. I really enjoy playing war games with my son. And while we had just the one table set up, we never really got to playing any games during the week because oftentimes we have like stuff set up on the like this ends up being like our tabletop RPG table out here. So we end up like playing TTRPG stuff, basically like D&D. And so we would never set up war game stuff. So now with this table, I have like a permanent Kill Team mat where I can just leave the Vulcus terrain out and enough space that I can get like a full-size 40K board on here. My goal is to actually get Necromunda going, and that's kind of like the thing that I want to start playing with my son and his friends. And underneath the table, I haven't gotten it lit up yet. I'll put the same kind of lights that I have on this side. I'll put on this side just so we can see stuff at night. I'm still working on like the shelving and the underworks here. I just managed to get the wiring done, but right now I'm planning on getting Kill Team stuff, Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, and then Necromunda stuff. The Warhammer 40K things, I'll probably get like another small shelving unit to put back here along with terrain. But yeah, that's the new war game table. The most expensive part was this board right here. We were deciding which board to get, and my son really wanted to have a board that people could like lean on, you know, like put your weight on it and it's not going to like bow or break the table. So yeah, lumber's ridiculous. Anyways, we got all that stuff done this week. So I still need to go back to the Lego town and actually rebuild these things because like a bunch of it's just got kind of disheveled. This is mostly done for the moment. It's at least done enough that I can take a pause from this. But I also totally reorganized. Let me turn on like the downstairs game area here. Because this used to be a lot of war game stuff on this shelf. And now this is like our main tabletop RPG shelf. Like this is like binders and books for the game we're playing on Fridays. And then extra paperworks for it. Other games that we're currently going through. And then this is just like a few board games and some Magic and stuff. So I just kind of trimmed down the intensity of what was on those shelves, and then we made ourselves a smaller table. This one's about 10 inches narrower than it used to be, so it's a little more appropriate for the living room, and I can fold it up and put it aside. So there's our wargaming setup now. My profile picture is me with crossed legs on the table, and I'm frowning like that because Mr. Tennant told me cheese and cheese sandwich. Nice gaming table. Don't forget you can carry it over to your TTRPG table when you need space. No, that's true. And I understand that like we can play the war games here as well. I wanted to have a permanent place where we can just have stuff set up so that like anytime we want to go to a Kill Team game or want to do Marvel Crisis Protocol or something, like we have a table where we can set it up and maybe we won't be able to finish it at the time. But I don't know, just my hope was to have something more permanent to get games in more regularly, because some of the reason why we don't end up playing is because it takes like 10 or 15 minutes just to set things up at times. So if we have an area where it's just set up in advance, maybe we'll play more. And my son Riker was playing in the Lego town, but like he wasn't playing in it very often. He wasn't playing in it well. Building him his own little Lego town, I think, is actually going to be a benefit because he'll actually try and build stuff. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to get my son Riker to actually play with the minifigures in the Lego town. So I want to get him, kind of playing in areas that don't just have roads, because he always plays with roads and he always plays with cars. And like the thing I want to do is I want to get him to play one of these games with us. So I want to get him actually playing some kind of war game with us, with miniatures, with tanks or something. So quick setup is the most played games. I think so. If you have something that's easy to set up and take out of the box and get going, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I changed this setup as well. Like, I know Slay the Spire is just a solid card game that we can pull out, we can get going in like 2 minutes. It's really easy to set up. Same thing with Magic. I don't know about Netrunner or Aeon's End, but I want to try them out to find out. But basically just having like a few games over in this area that we can like easily pop onto the table and start playing, that's kind of my hope, right? How about y'all? What are y'all painting and building today or working on? One of the people from my Discord started sending me stories for my Imperial army. I haven't actually gotten to reading them yet since I've been so busy tearing things up in the house. But my hope is to start going through those stories and reading them on the streams, and then, you know, putting together miniatures to go with the characters from the stories. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll probably start that next week. All right, let's get back to building. I also picked up a new quick cement. This is the AK quick cement. I mostly use the Tamiya extra thin. I'm not saying that right. Tamiya? Yeah. Anyways, I mostly use that stuff. So far, this has worked really well. I'd never tried it before, but the dude at the game store said it was rad, so decided to check it out. All right. I like these little walls. These are really cool because you can like see through them, but they count as like some sort of obstructed terrain. I think that's one of the things I really like about the Necromunda Terrain is not just the modularity, but like all the little like kind of crawl spaces and walkways. So I'm excited to get this stuff up, like actually painted and put together, and just to build out a board with it. This is probably like, as far as I'm concerned, this is probably like the most Lego of terrain that I've seen, where like the finished version of it is stuff where you can like build together in cool little configurations. So I'm excited to actually get this up and together. I really like the Shatterpoint terrain. I thought they did a pretty good job with that one. But this is even more modular than the Shatterpoint stuff. You might like the YouTuber Baldermort when you're painting 40K with the kids. Interesting. What is Baldermort? Is Baldermort like a YouTuber that paints miniatures with kids? Let's see. I've been building character for RPG. Longtime GM, now getting to play. Okay, cool. Okay, so I also get that opportunity sometimes to play a character. And no, I know what you mean. It's super exciting when you get to play. Okay, I got a couple questions for you. What RPG are you playing? And what kind of character did you decide to build? And how many sessions do you think you're going to get to play? Or how many sessions have you gotten to play? I know it's a lot of questions, but I'm interested to know. I was just thinking about Dungeons and Dragons the other day. As I was cleaning up things over in the side area of my room, I was picking up like all the Dungeons and Dragons cards and like, you know, character stuff. And I was realizing it's been about a year since I played Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it was about last year, summertime, that I was just like, I'm bored of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Let's see, do you have the game Brawl Stars? Is that a video game? If that's a video game, I don't think so, but I have heard of something like Brawl Stars, and I thought it was a video game. If it is, let's see, so there's a tabletop war game that's made by TT Combat that is called Brawl something. It might be Brawl Stars, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, if you're talking about the TT Combat wrestling game that is a brawler, then I do have a copy of that one. I need to learn how to play it and put it together. But if that's not what you're talking about, then I don't know what that is. All right, so I'm going to take these pieces off of here. All right, that looks pretty secure. All right, so yeah, there's another. So this is like one of these little end caps, and you can take this door and connect it to the end cap, and this door and connect it to the end cap, and now I have like a little walkway. And this is all like the rubble terrain. But I could also take this wall and stick this wall in this little end cap. And now I have a space that you can shoot through, but, you know, you can't go through it. So I like these pieces a lot. All right. Let me cut off another one of these things here. See, Voldemort is a 40K lore story audio channel with particularly smooth voice for background audio. That's okay. All right, let me go ahead and write that down. Do I have a pen and pencil here? I do not. All right, let me go get a pencil or pen. I have a X-Acto knife. I could cut it into paper. Voldemort. Yeah, I am actually interested in trying to get my son Riker just a little bit into the lore. Like I kind of want him to, I want him to help me with some of the orc flavoring that we're doing. My son Bishop, who's 14, he's gotten real heavy into the lore. He's listening to more lore stuff than I am now. He's into it all the time. So he is not only caught up with me, but he's several hours ahead of me. So, all right. Oh, you'll post a link. Okay, thank you. I'm going to write it down just in case. Balder Mort. Thank you. I have liked Luton as a channel. That's one that I've actually watched fairly regularly. I think the lore videos that Luton makes are really they're high quality, and they're generally well edited as well. All right, I have another short pipe that I need to make. Let me turn on this light. And let's turn on this light too. There we go. I'm building a mix of a barbarian goblin that can grow in size when it rages. Warlock 2, he sacrifices hit points to boost abilities because he's cursed. Somewhat of a tool to the drow. So you're building two different characters? Are you building two characters for the same campaign, or are you playing in two different campaigns? See, Baldy is more lighthearted narrative channel than Luton. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that actually might be more Riker's flavor if it's kind of down to earth stories. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I will check that out to hopefully find something that that Riker could listen to and get him into some orcs. The other thing that I actually, it's silly. I'm being silly. I know I am, but my hope was to get Bishop and his friend Landon and a few other people into Necromunda. But I know that Riker loves police, so I wanted to build these guys out like the Necromunda police and create obviously a faction. The what are they called? Palantir? I'm saying it wrong. Palantite. Anyways, build up a police faction for Necromunda so that Riker could come in there. I don't know, narratively, he might be able to understand that, he's playing as the police and he's got to stop these rebels or bad guys or bandits or whatever. It's just a way for me to try and get him to roll dice and participate in some game that we're playing. So I think he could do big cop energy because, oh man, he loves police. Police chases and anytime we're driving and he hears sirens, oh, he gets stoked. He's like, what was that? What was that? Right? He always wants it to be a police chase. So he's such an 8-year-old boy. Okay, so you're making a multi-class. So it's a multi-class. Let me read that again. Did you say a barbarian warlock? Okay, building a mix of a barbarian goblin that can grow in size when it rages. It's also a warlock as well, so you can sacrifice hit points. So that sounds like okay. That sounds like a crazy character that you've made. I'm guessing it's Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Let's see. Yeah, I'm guessing that's D&D 5th edition that you're multi-classing that in. Okay, so did you make a character that's gonna just one-shot bosses and stuff? Is that because I know warlocks can be pretty crazy, and I know barbarians can be really heavy damage. But to me, the combination of those two things together, I would suspect that that's going to be a very powerful character. I wonder if you made a very powerful character for the game. I did that one time when I had a chance to play in our Dungeons and Dragons game. I made a necromancer from Valda's Spire of Secrets, and that was a very powerful character. That was like one-shotting rooms of people, like massive AoE. It was fun. In my case, it didn't leave very much room for other players at the table to do stuff. So, I don't know. I think that's par for the course for a... Oh, I'm sorry, DC 20. You already said that. I apologize. And DC 20, that is the game that's made by the Dungeon Coach, correct? Just wondering. The one raccoon. I did it. I'm good. So, all right, so about your campaign, how long do you think you're going to get to be a player? And when was the last time that you got to play as a player, not a DM? I'm actually getting to play in 2 different games now. I play in a game on Tuesday, which is rather rad. I enjoy the game that I play on Tuesday. Very different character than any of the other characters I've played before. And I'm also getting to play in a game on Saturday. And both of those games have become fairly consistent to the point that I now have started to look forward to those games each week. and I end up getting a little pissy if for some reason we don't get to play. And I'm like, I don't get to play my game. So we've had a few weeks off. We've had a few weeks off of our normal Friday game. So tomorrow is actually going to be our first time playing our Friday game, and that's always a weird thing. Like when you play a game pretty regularly, but then for some reason you got to take, like scheduling. Usually it's scheduling conflicts or whatever, but you got to take a few weeks off. Yeah, it's weird trying to go back to a game because I'm like, okay, what was going on? What were the players doing? What was happening? So I played Doctor Who games on Saturdays. So what do you mean you played Doctor Who games on Saturdays? Like as in you play a Doctor Who tabletop RPG? Or like Magic the Gathering? If it's a tabletop RPG, I did not know that there was a tabletop RPG of Doctor Who. I'm not surprised. Like that would totally make sense. But I didn't know that they had a Doctor Who game. So yeah, what sort of Doctor Who game do you mean? Let's see. Last time was 7 years ago. What? So you're gonna get to play. You're gonna get to play every other week. But the last time you got to be a player was 7 years ago. Okay, that's crazy. That's all right. I mean, all right. So why do you think that is? Why do you think it's so long since the last time you got to play a game? And I don't know. I have guesses. Like I don't know. Like maybe a lot of the TTRPGs that people like to play in are hard to run. Dungeons and Dragons is a game that's a little hard for people to run. Pathfinder is a little hard for people to run. I think that some of these rules light games have probably become more popular because they're definitely easier for people to run and get games going in them. Let's see. So let's see. There is an official system, or are you home brewing? Okay. Oh yeah. Same thing about the Doctor Who. I was also wondering that. Kind of ruins the story. Exactly. Forgetting. Okay. When you don't play for a while. No, I know what you mean. If you haven't played in a few weeks, you're like, what was happening? I don't remember why. That's so. So this week I gave all my players like 150 experience extra because in the game system that we're playing, there's a lot of like modular customization you can do with your character. I just wanted the players to like go back to their characters and kind of like relook at them to familiarize themselves with their characters and kind of remember what they were trying to do. So I gave them a little bit of extra experience so they can kind of go in and build up some stuff. You know, like, oh, here's what I'm doing with my character. Buy a few extra points or a feat or something like that. Anyways, so hopefully that will help my players to remember what they were doing, because, you know, I'm going to have to go back and look at notes to remember what was happening. All right, I have one more wall to build, and then I think I'm done with terrain for the night, unless I want to start platforms. Let's see. If it's the real David Tennant, he played the Doctor for the BBC back when they had good script writers. Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, so David Tennant, yeah, that's the actor. That's the actor who also plays in the Jessica Jones show. He played the Purple Man. I know what you're talking. I know who you're talking about. I'm a picky player for GMs. That's probably why. So how do you think you're a picky player? Like, what do you mean by you're a picky player? All right, I have one more of these wall sections. Let's just start cutting these pieces out. I kind of know what you're talking about, but I don't want to assume that the same way that you're picky is the same way that I'm picky. I know that I'm a player, like, I have a harder time just pretending that the story makes sense if the story doesn't make sense. So if I'm playing in a game and then I know that the dungeon master is just making stuff up, I'm not enjoying myself. And that's, I don't know, maybe that's different. It's like it's different for other players or other game masters who go to play the game. I know there's some people who are real eager to play a tabletop RPG and they have no problem like just pretending that the story makes sense. You know, and they're willing to like pretend really hard. But if I'm playing with a DM and they're just rolling random encounters, you know, like one after another, it just checks me out of the game. So I'm probably more difficult to run games for than most people. If that's what you mean, then yeah, I can get it. Okay. 2, 3, 4 walls and a lid. All right, this looks like the lid. You'd hate my games. I build a world and drop the players into it, while I try to build the world faster than they can explore it. Okay, so tell me about that. How do you manage to do that? You know, okay, all right, so are you playing like a hex-based system? Like you drop them into a hex crawl and your players can just like wander around the hex crawl and explore stuff and you're like basically just making up the stuff in the hex crawl? Or I don't know, that also seems like it would be kind of stressful as a game master. You know, if you just drop players into the game and the world's not fully built. I definitely struggle with that. I tend to like start over preparing, you know, and then like when it comes to time like for us to play, you know, like, oh no, I know I don't have stuff ready for tonight, and you know, I'm gonna have to start making things up real soon. I guess that's why I prefer playing in a game system that has a lot of things structured out, like that has a lot of narrative or lore things structured, because I have played in a lot of those like open rules light, lore light games, and I don't know, I struggled to make things make sense as the game went on, because I think I make things up too easily, and then I end up making up stuff that's dumb. And even if my players don't notice it, if I know that I've made up stuff that's dumb, it's really difficult for me to like just deal with it. Let's see. It depends. I'm always up to role play, but I run games for people who are either good at running combat or good at role play, but not good at the other. Okay, so you end up playing games with people and they're good at the role playing stuff, but they're bad at combat, or they're good at combat but bad at roleplay. Okay, so are you a DM who's good at combat and good at roleplay? I had an idea. While I have this pen here, I want to get distracted a little bit and see how it does. So one of the things I know I want to paint is this chain, but I kind of want to make that chain gold. So I'm not going to make it silver. But there's a bunch of stuff like on this engine that I want to touch up with this kind of gunmetal color. Same thing as the wheels. So I'm going to see how this pen works to do that. See if we can touch up a bunch of these, metal things on here and see how it does. Let's see. So on that back side, you can see it's got like a lot of that red that I dry brushed on to try and create some false reflections. I'm going to put a little bit of edge highlighting. Let's see, like right here on the top. And let's see how that looks. I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to get all around this thing and put some metallic streaks into it. I don't want it to be too new looking because I still want it to have like mangled orc vibe. I like these markers, but for the orc stuff, I'm probably going to stick to the dry brushing because I really want them to have like that messy aesthetic to them. And this comes across like this comes in a little more refined. It's actually not too bad. This is pretty easy to apply. I've never used a paint marker before. And so I was actually really curious how these would work. I picked up a few different colors. Picked up this weird yellow. I picked up this green and this kind of flat blue or cobalt blue. It says it's blue raw. And this ivory color. And two more. This orange and a black. And the reason I got them is I wanted to try and see if I could paint those palantite guys just with the markers. I want to see how it turns out. It's probably not going to be doable because they have like a lot of tight spaces. And these markers, like they're a little bit large to try and get in there. Let's see. If it were, say, the Forgotten Realms, your party would be doing whatever you want while the time of troubles is happening across Faerun. Okay. A lot of players don't like it. They feel aimless instead of free. So, interesting point. One of our starting games involved getting drink umbrellas. Not a fan of big world adventure where in the end you have to fight a god. T-Dog, it sounds like you like a bit more grounded gameplay in your tabletop RPGs. Have you tried playing like Call of Cthulhu or any of like those sort of grimdark games? Okay, pretty much. I think I like those better. I think I like it when the tasks are simple. Even as a game master, it's not that it's hard to run the big stuff. It is. It's a little harder, but that's not the point. It feels like it doesn't matter as much. You know, like when you have that god tier crap and players are jumping down the throats of dragons while high-fiving each other. It's like, I don't know, it just feels like all this stuff that they're doing along the way doesn't matter because it's it's put up against the backdrop of this epic quest. I don't know, something from in that, like, the level 1 to 5 range of stories almost feels not just more realistic, but more enjoyable as a dungeon master. As a player, I don't know. Maybe players like the gameplay that comes from stacking multi-class abilities together and all that. I've enjoyed, but I prefer Forgotten Realms. Okay. So what is it that you like about the Forgotten Realms? I'm going to assume it has something to do with the lore, maybe the setting, or like the magic and fantasy aesthetic. And yeah, I mean, I can understand being interested in the fantasy aspect of games because I'm a big sci-fi fan and I really like sci-fi settings. I don't know exactly what it is, but I like the idea of traveling through space and exploring other planets. And I'm not a big fantasy fan. At least I don't think I am. So if someone's saying that they're a big fantasy fan, in the same way that I'm a big sci-fi fan, I can kind of understand. They're like, okay, I get it. In the same way that I like the idea of traveling into space, you know, someone who likes fantasy is interested in traveling into like the depths of the earth or the bowels of some ancient tomb. So I can get that. Let's see. I'm back. I lost the stream. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. I have a lot of patience. Well, if you're talking to me, I don't know. This is actually very relaxing. I like this. I did not think that I would like painting miniatures. I did not think this would be something that I would get into, but I enjoy this so much. It's just so calming and relaxing. Building them, painting them, the whole thing. I don't know. I like almost every aspect of this hobby, and I did not think I would. When I first got into Marvel Crisis Protocol, I was only like building and painting the miniatures because it was a means to an end. Like I just wanted to play the game. And by the time I actually started playing and you know, having fun with my son in the game, it became a whole different thing, you know. And I was like, when I actually started building the Hulk miniature, which was like, I don't know, like one of the 10th or 12th miniatures I put together, I actually was like, you know, let me actually try to make the Hulk look good. And I really had fun. It was cool to try and dry brush Hulk. My Hulk miniature looks terrible, you know, but it was the first one I actually tried to paint. And, you know, then when I went to like other miniatures later on, I was like, I think I actually enjoy this. I don't think I like the painting nearly as much as I like the building, though. Like there's something about just gluing this stuff together that's really simple and satisfying. Let's see, small and personal. Okay, at high level, your threat that drives your characters should no longer be small and personal. Well, that's fair. No, that's very fair. And I think that is kind of what diminishes some of the interconnected aspect of the game and the story, right? I feel like it needs to be personal for it to matter to the player's characters. You know, I know that players can like show up to this, you know, this town or this far off place and, you know, try and save the whole world or whatever, because, you know, hey, the world's important. But it does feel different when it's like we want to save our home, you know, or our family or something. So yeah, I get that. I think I like the personal story a lot more. Something about fantasy and RPG for me. I think it's easier, as most of the popular games are for fantasy. You know, that's fair. I think you got like Pathfinder, you got the Dungeons and Dragons, you got the Warhammer Fantasy. Those are probably some of the more popular ones. I've heard that people are enjoying Daggerheart. At least that's what YouTube seems to believe. I don't know. Have any of you guys tried Daggerheart? Seen it running? Any of you guys bought it? Tried to play it? I have also heard people who are upset about Daggerheart, mostly related to the fact that apparently they've got their own open game license issue, which is really funny. All right, this, it's very easy to just come in here and kind of marker in, like you can see that spot on the engine that's a little bit dry brushed to red, right? It's right there. And I want that popping silver a little bit more. This is actually really easy to use. And it's not just that it's convenient, it actually, I mean, it runs really well. It runs as though it were a paintbrush. I don't know if I would like predominantly use these over regular paintbrushes, because I think I like mixing paints too much. And I also, my favorite way to brush right now is just dry brushing. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Yeah, my son is a big like opaque paint, right? Like detailed paint. And I just love dry brushing and then contrast paints. I love getting things painted and getting them done quick. I don't want to be here like all year painting the same thing. Like even right now, I know I'm being a little bit meticulous with this because this is meant for my son, who is also like visually impaired and like mentally impaired. So he's not going to mind. I don't know. I guess I'm being a little compulsive for me then. Let's see. I think I try to go for Lord of the Rings approach. The fantasy is not as overwhelming and somewhat believable. No, that makes sense. I gotcha. Daggerheart is new. And I think a lot of the people are getting into Daggerheart because it's new, right? Like people are interested in Matt Mercer, right? He's kind of like an internet personality, and Matt Mercer is sort of the front man for Critical Role. He seems like a pretty okay dude. Like he's pretty down to earth. He seems friendly to fans and stuff. Like, yeah, if he's got a game system and he's the dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, I don't know, that's almost like a sales pitch for his game, because he obviously should know what would be in a game. I guess I would be interested in taking a look at it a little bit, except it's hard for me to get super excited about new tabletop RPGs. I think at this point, I need to know that they're doing something very different. I'm interested in looking at the other tabletop RPGs. I would probably play Daggerheart if someone offered to run it for me. But I have so much fun running in the tabletop RPG that we're playing right now. It is the best TTRPG I have ever played. It might be my forever system. I thought about talking about forever systems in a recent video, but I don't know. I don't really know what point I am trying to make, because I don't know what people would consider a forever system to be, And since I'm still kind of new to tabletop RPGs, I don't know what other people like. Okay, fine. Here's a question for anyone listening right now. If you were going to pick a forever tabletop RPG, right? If you were going to pick the one game system that you could just play all the time, you never get bored of it, you love the characters, you love running it, you love playing it, you just put it up on your shelf in like that Primark spot, and it's your forever game. What game is it, right? Like what tabletop RPG could you play over and over and over again as the player or as a GM? Which one? Because honestly, I think I found that with the game that we're playing. I love playing it. I love running it. It's so easy that kids can run it. It's hard for me to think of anything like that, like to come up with anything negative about the system. I guess the main negative thing I could come up with is that it's not finished being made, and I don't have an official book, so I have to keep printing out different pages and stuff. But that's kind of nitpicking. So, yeah, that's like complaining about a product because it was late to your house. It's like, not a very valid complaint. Just got here. Let's see, where did you get the parts for your terrain? So, the This terrain is Necromunda Terrain. It's part of the Zone Mortalis terrain set. And it is a kind of a weird modular terrain set that I really like. So I bought a bunch of this stuff, and it is expensive. But the thing I considered before I bought it was the modularity factor. And, you know, I was like, okay, I know that I want terrain for like cyberpunk type games, sci-fi, cyberpunk. So this type of modular terrain set could be very helpful to me in the future because it allows me to like build out like little city locations. You can see how that's got like a locking thing to it. And there's actually like a little grid-based map that these can stack into. So I decided to pick up a few of these sets to build out a full board of it. Not like a full, you know, 60 by 48 board. Probably just like a 3x3 or kill team board. I just want to see how high it can get without getting wobbly. So, anyways, this is like an investment into terrain that I have in the house. And since I'm kind of just getting into wargaming, you know, I know that my Marvel Crisis Protocol terrain is still useful to me for like other games. But as well, for whenever I want to play Marvel Crisis Protocol, I got some pretty cool terrain. And since Warhammer and Kill Team and Necromunda are all things I'm interested in, and I want to like get more enmeshed in like Warhammer. You know, my son's really loving Warhammer, and that's exciting to me. I probably jump into things quickly the moment my son's interested, and that might be the problem. I think I've always done this. You know, like he liked Pokemon, and I was never a Pokemon person. But the moment my son was like, hey, I like Pokemon now, I was like, oh, cool, right? And so I just jumped into Pokemon hard. And I was playing Pokemon X and Y with him. I don't even like Pokemon, right? I actually kind of hate the Pokemon game loop. I'm not big into catching stupid monsters. I don't think it's a very fun turn-based RPG. But my son was into it, and so I was like, sweet, I'm all in. I think I caught all the Pokemon from that game, or close to it. I had a lot. And then my son eventually didn't care about Pokemon anymore. So it's like, I often found that happening. Like, I would be really, really into something that my son just got into, and then, like, he is ready to move on, and he's not into it anymore, and I'm like, whoops. So with the war games, I'm kind of also into it because I've really enjoyed this thing. Like I really like doing this. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's so fun and relaxing to like make these kind of like terrain things and to build this stuff. Like here, I'll run downstairs real quick. Found your stream again. It's funny because I'm building my Necron Warriors right now. I love watching 40K streams while I'm building and painting. That's awesome, man. So are you building like a whole Necron army, or are you building your Necron kill team? I'm guessing, see, Necron Warriors, yeah, I'm guessing you're building for 40K. I'd be curious to see more Daggerheart, but all the talk about it, I've had no interest. I feel like it forces too much unnecessary narrative. Okay, so that's one of the things people were mentioning to me in my Discord when they were describing the whole game. It sounds like it's a game where the players are like inventing stuff in the world. And like, okay, I know that's kind of an in thing. Like, I know it's kind of a trendy thing for a TTRPG to force dungeon mastering decisions on players like WildSea. I don't think players actually enjoy it for like long term. I know that if I'm playing a TTRPG, if the dungeon master is asking me, like, what's this NPC's name? I'm like, you don't know? Dude, come on. Don't ask me what an NPC's name is. I came here to play my character, not the world, right? I want to play my character and tell a story in the world, but I don't want to be running the game with everyone else. That's crazy, right? That means none of the stuff we're doing matters. I don't understand why people like that kind of gameplay loop, because I don't know who it's appealing to. It's not, like, I'm a dungeon master. It's not fun for me, right? And like when I do that stuff with my players, they're like, Right? Or they get stupid, you know, like you definitely can't do it with kids because kids will get subversive. Anyways, I came down here to look at all right, so this is my kill team terrain. Like, I love doing this, right? I actually enjoy making this thing and trying to make it look sort of realistic, you know? Like, I liked making this thing happen with dry brushing, right? And I got like all this kind of etched metal look, and then when I put the gloss coat, like I said, it was a slightly gloss. It was a satin coat. I don't remember what it's called. Varnish. I couldn't think of the name of it. This thing. So when I sprayed that on it, and it kind of made the oily metal look pop in a little more. I don't know. I love doing that, right? And when I first started doing that, here I'll show you the first terrain that I really spent time trying to make it look cool. I think I spent days building this thing, right? And like, okay, it doesn't even look that great right now. Like here, I'll set it down so you can hear. So it's a little too dark in most of the places. Like I would definitely dry brush over this to make like some of the edges pop a little more. Like the shadows are a little too dark in all these places, but right, I mean, it's not too bad. I probably actually need to vacuum this or dust it off because I think there's a layer of dust on here. We haven't used this in a while. Anyways, like that, I actually enjoy trying to build the terrain and trying to make it look real and crap, and realizing that I actually care about making it look good makes me want to do it more to get better at it. So, you know, because like I like trying to make the terrain very bright now. And to be honest, building terrain is probably my favorite part of the miniature games. I don't know what it is. It's probably some desire in me to build Lego towns. You know, like I really enjoyed this thing. Like when I was building Lego towns, I liked trying to figure out how to make something like this, right? How to make this weird, you know, like this is a house with a tree on top of it. You know, same thing with like this. I wanted to build this airplane into this bridge, into this pier, you know, and then the train actually fits perfectly underneath there. And in Ewok Village, I took the Lord of the Rings boat, and I was like trying to figure out how to build it across this thing, but also because the Ewok, like these are rotating normally, so I had to find the perfect position to rotate these two and tear a bunch of it apart. I don't know. I really like doing that in Lego Town. So like once I started doing it with miniature stuff, like I get to have full control of so much of it, like even to the point of the color. I don't know. It feels like a more artistic version of Legos. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, that's probably some nitpicking, or it just could be I've done Legos for 12 years. You know, like I did Legos for like 12 years, and it's not like I'm a Lego master or something. I'm not, right? I'm not. You know, like I've only done so much of this kind of weird building. I usually built sets, but I'm kind of bored of Legos, I guess, right? Like I'm just like, I like this thing. So the moment my son is like, yo, I kind of like that Warhammer thing we're doing, I get so stoked about it. Oh, here, let me show you what he did in his room. He started building his own army. All I had to do was shame him just a little bit. Just be like, come on, man, build your own stuff. He's organizing his room right now, so he's actually just fresh cleaning things up right now, or trying to clean things up. But here he's got this big Chuggus guy, and this is his first time he's trying to magnetize this thing. Let me see if it works on his guy. So he actually did this all himself. I haven't helped him at all. Let's see, did he get it? Am I doing it upside down? I'm doing it upside down. Hang on, let me make sure I do it the right way. There we go. I think he's still working on trying to get the connection points, but that's his first time magnetizing something. I think this might be the other. No, that's a leg. That's a leg. It's got another head in here, and he's trying to get it to magnetize. There we go. Here's the other head. So he wants to get it to have the two different heads. There we go. There's the other one. So he's working on this all by himself. I'm so proud of him. Like that's really cool that he's, you know, and he's using his own money to buy his giant Tyranid army, because he's going to make these massive monsters to destroy my poor space marines. Which, yeah, I'm excited about that too, though. So, hold on, let me catch up with this. Have you tried Rifts, particularly the Phase World subsetting? I have heard a little bit about Rifts. I haven't gotten into it. So I've just heard the basics about it. I think, is it Palladium? For some reason, that the name Palladium feels like it goes with Rifts, but I might be confusing something. So no, I haven't really heard much about it. Don't know much about it. Is it a good game? Let's see. I have heard the mechanics are difficult to say the least. That is also something I've heard about Rifts. That it's complex or something. I haven't played enough RPGs. Steep starting curve. I like exploring new, such as Shadow Dark. I have not. Okay, so I got a 3D printer a while ago, right? I got a resin 3D printer, and I got water, whatever, the water soluble resins, water washable resins, okay? Because I didn't want to deal with like strong fumes in the house, because I was worried like, okay, we're going to be breathing it. So I ordered it, set it all up. I got everything ready to print. I started printing stuff. And then about 2 days into it, like even the water washable resin smelled terrible. Like the whole house had chemical smell to it. And when I first looked it up, I was like, I want to make sure that the water washable resin, like I went and compared the chemical data and saw that the water washable resin didn't say you needed to wear like a rebreather mask. Like it was like, yeah, you should be fine. But it was bad. So I sent that back, and I have not tried to get into 3D printing again. I've thought about picking up a filament printer because, terrain is expensive, and I know it's expensive. It'd be much cheaper if I could get STLs and just print out my own crap. But the filament printers actually produce like a fine dust coat that I've seen people actually take videos of their house after they've had like a filament printer in there, and they're using like a UV light. Oh, it freaked me out because it was like their pillow was covered in little plastic particles. It was like to the point where I was like, oh, okay, I don't want that in my house, right? So maybe I'd put it in the garage, but Riker plays out in the garage. That's like his like roughhouse play space. It's like where we can wrestle and stuff. So anyways, no, I haven't gotten a 3D printer, but my friend Steven, there's a connection here. My friend Steven, his son plays with me on Friday nights and Saturday nights. So like his son Landon. So Landon's like a good friend of mine. Like we hang out, we play games all the time. So all I got to do is like, hopefully Steven and Landon pick up a 3D printer, and I'll be like, yo, Landon, make me a castle, right? Like, hey, go, I'll buy him some STLs and just be like, dude, print me out a truck. Anyways, he's totally stoked at the idea that he could actually like be printing terrain for our games. Oh, I'm so excited. He actually started trying to teach himself to make models. So he's in Blender right now, just sticking shapes together. Kid's 14, right? And he's like, I want to be good at 3D printing. So he's actually going to try and teach himself how to make models. He hasn't gotten to the point where he's like ready to like watch classes or whatever, but he showed me some of the stuff. I'm like, it's rudimentary, but he's at least figured out how to make the program work. That he made like a rat and some other kind of creature, like a moose or something. Anyways, it was cool. So I'm happy about that because it might mean that I can abuse my relationship with this kid who plays TTRPGs with me and be like, yo, make me some toys. Anyways, I'm stoked about that because he's a good kid. And if he ends up getting a 3D printer, I know he's going to get real creative with it. So I'm interested to see what kind of stuff he just comes up with on his own because he's always trying to create weird things. He's real artistic. So, all right, 3D printing. I'm going to ban this person here. How do I do that? There we go. I'm going to just hide user on this channel. There we go. All right. My wife is not a hostage. We're going to be okay. Some of my RPG players are greater backer characters. Not all needing to be talkers. I know what you mean. I have a few players at my table that like to do backseat play. Like they kind of like to go in the background. And, they're actually, that's a really helpful player too. Both as a DM and as a fellow player. Because I tend to be one of like the front seat players. And it's nice to have other people who will play, you know, sort of like the number two. So if everyone is like a high energy, like alpha player, it's like they're all yelling over each other. They can't ever come up with a plan. Yeah, you need a few players at your table to be like, yo, I'll do whatever, you know, because like otherwise it'd be 2 hours of planning all the time. Oh, time to put the kid to bed. No problem. Have a great night. Thank you. God bless. See, Michael Bisping, what's up? Good to know about the printing. Yeah, I mean, I am very interested in the idea of the 3D printing, but like at the moment, I have not seen a resin printer that has no fumes. So I've seen that they've actually started coming out with some resin printers that have kind of like a sealed box area, so you can contain the fumes a little better, but you're still going to have fumes. And like the moment you open that thing up, it's just like a wafting smell. And it was like a smell while I was breathing it. It had that same feel. I don't know if you've ever like cleaned a shower with bleach, you know, and like, or Ajax or whatever, and you breathed it a little too heavy, where you're like, your lungs feel heavy. That's how it felt. So I was like, no, I'm not going to keep this in the house. I don't know what it's doing to me. I don't know what it's doing to the kids. I would love to have a 3D printer, but I don't know. It's just, it's just not worth, you know. I had an asbestos scare like a number of years ago when we lived in an old apartment. They came in to do a bunch of maintenance work on the apartment we lived in. And the guys came in and sandblasted the ground. And I found out that they sandblasted asbestos in our house. And I freaked out. Like, it was such an intense freak out because I was like, dude, is this going to affect my kid? I'm keeping him out of the house. Because I found out they actually sandblasted like a chunk of asbestos in the underneath our kitchen floor. And, you know, I was like, when I went and looked at it, I was like, hey guys, I think that might be asbestos. You should stop. Anyways, dust went everywhere. I freaked out, you know, like I moved my kid out of the house, you know, found us another apartment, and like we just moved. There was a bunch of stuff that I just left behind because I was so panicked about like asbestos, because I found out like, yeah, you can get it, and 30 years later, you just get like severe lung issues. I don't know. I just didn't want to take chances on it, and I got rid of all the stuffed animals. I got rid of all the like any clothing that we had. The only thing I kept was like the Lego town, but I took it to a house and washed it off with a hose. Like, I was freaking out, right? I mean, like, maybe I was overly panicked. I don't know, but I treated it like this stuff doesn't matter as much as my kids' lungs, and you know, I want to be safe. So the 3D printing thing, I had the same feeling about it. As much as I like the 3D printer, it'd be way cheaper to have a 3D printer in our house. I don't have a space in the garage, and I can't stick it in one of our bedrooms. So, you know, for now, that means I either find someone else who can get a 3D printer, or, yeah, I don't know, I buy models. All right. Yeah, so I'm actually really liking this pen. It is... It's... Okay, this feels like color pencils. This is okay. This is a whole different thing than painting to me. It's kind of like, oh man, it's kind of like coloring book. I might get a set of these for my wife to paint, because this is okay. This is like, I don't know if any of you know that girl or guy who keeps coloring books, right? And they do like the mandalas while they're having, you know, attention issues or something. I don't know. I've noticed that like a lot of people have those coloring books, and it helps them to like relax or something. This feels very much like that. Here, let me see if I can get this so you can actually see it. It's very difficult to look at while here. I'm going to stand up there so you can see it. So, see, like right here. There we go. It just easily brushes over. Here, I'll try it on this side where you can actually see it more clearly, since it's kind of a reddish dull color. Okay, so here's this marker. I'm going to start right up here at the top where you can see like that red. I'm just going to go straight down. It applies like paint. Man, this is like, it applies, and let me get that closer. right? Totally silver now. That is a really slick marker. It applies as though it's an opaque paint. I kind of wish I had a red one because I'd like to touch this up with red. But you know what? Now that I'm messing with paints, I'm gonna go ahead and I picked this up because I wanted to try it out. This is their AK, and I saw this and I was like, that is a bright red. Like I really want this to be brighter. Like I don't mind that it's like a deep red, but I want it to be like pop more, a little bit more like this one. And this one I just painted totally different than this one. So I want to try and get that. There are paint markers. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what these are. So this one actually has like a little brush at the end of it. And it's like got like, so you can see here, like it's, let me get it close so you can actually see. It's actually a brush, not a marker. And it's got a button on the back of it. You press the button and it pushes paint into the tip. These are like markers. They're pretty cool. Let's see. You know, I wish those pens had existed when I played. They would have made painting my Necrons less ugly. Yeah, I can understand that. I'm not the greatest at painting. That's why I kind of like the contrast paints and the dry brushing, because I'm not great at like keeping my hands steady and all that. I know, it's like, get good. I am over 40 and I'm like, my eyesight's bad. Anyways, it's still very enjoyable. I like the way that kind of pops now. So I'm probably gonna go through this whole truck and give it like a once over with this metal, but first I'm gonna try a little bit of this. And I got a new dry brush today. I was thinking about using it. It's actually one of these, hold on. When I went to the game store, the Lost Planet game store, they had, hold on, that's a Citadel brush. There we go, these. They're called ghost brushes. They're some kind of synthetic brushes made in China. They were cheap, but I've seen them both at a game show and at the guy's store, so I picked up those 4 to try out. I was gonna say I'm gonna use that dry brush, but I'm actually gonna use this tiny one. And I'm just gonna go stippling into this side right here. I wanna pop that out a little bit more. I want it to be a brighter red. And any of the places that I'm gonna like have be solid red, I'm just gonna try and stipple into it a little bit. I've been making my own fantasy terrain buildings out of insulation foam for about a decade. That's cool. I'm seeing the way those are working and thinking that would have made rib cages easier. No, I totally get what you mean. Try cheap makeup brushes, great for dry brushing. I do that as well. So I have a bunch of these that my wife gave me, and I love using these, especially for like stippling things on, because this is like really firm. I also have another one here. I think this is like a foundation brush or something. So I like using these, but I kind of like testing out different products. Like I've gotten these cheap ones. These are cheap, just on Amazon, right? It's like a pack. I think it's like $9 for 4 or 5 brushes. There was another one that was like $20 for 4 or 5 brushes. So I've tried a few different ones. I like to see what the different ones do because I'm trying to learn like the hobby. So I even picked up like, this is a more expensive brush set. I usually don't spend this much for brushes, but I wanted to try these Monument hobby brushes. And I think there's 6 of them? No, 5 of them. So there's 5 of them. No, it is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5. It's 5. It's hard to see. Anyways, I wanted to see what their brushes were like. I've liked their paints. So I kind of just like to sample the different things in the hobby to figure out what I actually enjoy using. You know, like when I first started, I just picked up a bunch of those Army Painter paints and I just stuck with them for a while. But I didn't test anything else out because I'd already invested in the Army Painter ones. So now I generally try and like pick up like, 3 or 4 of a thing and try it out and see how I feel about that as a product before I start committing to more of them. But that does mean that I have a paint selection that's like Citadel and Vallejo and Army Painter and AK and, you know, I don't know, but I also think some of the paints work very differently than others. So for example, the Citadel contrast paint, the Baal red, this is one of the worst contrast paints, but it's actually one of my favorite reds. It's not great for contrasting because it doesn't do that thing where you can see through parts of it differently. It kind of just layers on. It's a lot more opaque. Anyways, I'm sure I'm supposed to be like watering it down. But yeah, I like different paints for different things. All right. I don't even think, you know what? I don't even think I'm going to need to like layer white underneath this. This actually pops out as a red pretty well. So I'm just going to start stippling this pretty heavy onto here. And then I plan on using that pen to bring out the metals afterwards. And then I'll make a few stickers. I actually just started using the stickers for the first time, I think on this vehicle actually. Where is it? I painted over a lot of it, but there's a little skull in there. That is I think that's actually the first sticker I used. I didn't even know how to use them, and I wasn't really planning on using them until I started, once I started listening to the lore for Warhammer. I don't know, it really made Warhammer make more sense to me. Like, for a long time, I just thought the models were really cool, and I liked the models, but I wasn't really trying to get into Warhammer. But once I listened to the lore for the orcs, I was like, this is so weird. Like, this is weird. Who thought of this, right? Like, what do you mean they're like a weird fungus virus? Like, I don't know who comes up with that, right? And then like orcs just believe stuff and then it works. That's weird. It's just such I don't know. It's such a strange idea, and I really hadn't heard lore like that, right? I mean, I'm like a big Star Wars and Star Trek fan. So I do like shows and stories that have lore, and you know, I Star Wars to me was something that just made sense for a while, even though yeah, it's kind of like space magic. It's still I guess I grew up with it, so there was just a bunch of it that I accepted. I'm sure to people who weren't familiar with Star Wars and jump into it, the idea of the Force or whatever would be weird, but to me it wasn't weird. But when I like started listening to Warhammer lore, I was like, this is weird. It's super strange the way like a lot of stuff is just written and designed in the game. Like the way that they come up with stuff, there's weird symbolism and connected things. Like the Emperor Man is kind of a weird Jesus. You know, like that's on its own. That's strange. So I don't know. Yeah, once I started listening to the lore, I really got interested in Warhammer kind of in a different way. Like I don't know. I like it as a war game mechanically, but I actually like the story mechanics of it as well. I think it's interesting. Let's see, what do we got here? Cheap makeup brushes, right? See, there are lots of army that don't require steadiness, specifically Necrons, base coat, and then in black, and dry brush them silver all over, and then in green, but you don't need to be as fine till it looks... Okay, so... that's actually a really good suggestion. I appreciate you saying that. I have the Necron kill team, and I'm excited to paint them somehow. I want to use a bunch of fluorescent paints to try and make them glow underneath. So I'm gonna actually go over. I'm gonna go over them with a bright white, like a really steep white, and then I'm gonna try out some of these like liquid fluorescents. I really just want to make the under part of the rib cage like pop out. And then, right, I'll probably dry brush over them with some kind of like metal or something. Anyways, that's a good idea. I knew that I wanted to do them fluorescent, but I hadn't thought of like how easy they might be to dry brush. You're right. I like the orcs vehicles because you can just paint them crappy, and it totally works for the vibe and aesthetic. Like when I'm painting these things, I'm painting it as though someone was painting it but kind of didn't care. And I'm trying to actually paint it and make it look like someone painted it who didn't care, which is fun. It's a whole different way of painting from when I'm trying to paint like a miniature. right? I'm actually putting the thought into this, like I actually want it to look a little bit crappy. Whereas other stuff I'm painting, I'm actually trying to make it look nice. So I like painting orcs. The other one I actually enjoy painting is the big chunky Space Marines. I don't have a finished one here. I have a couple downstairs, but I mean, these guys are big and they got all sorts of interesting like parts on them. I'm looking forward to building these or to painting these specifically. I don't know exactly what color scheme I want for them, but I'm excited to paint them. I like a lot of the like the Warhammer miniatures. I think the vibe and the aesthetic of them is very interesting. Like, it's one thing to paint a miniature, but it's another thing to like paint a miniature that you actually want to decide how to make the colors on it. Because it's like, all right, this guy, I don't know what color I want to make him. Right? Like I don't know if I want to go with like a bluish gray, you know, because I want his hat to be a specific color, but then I probably want like this shoulder pad to be like leather, and then his coat, I don't know, but I kind of want to know what color I want to make him because he's so cool. I don't know, it's just a cool looking miniature. That guy has like his own story and stuff. Of the Wicked City, this is probably the one that I cared about the least. So I just painted it how I felt as I was going. And just, you know, this is all contrast paints. So just did, this is the Apothecary White in that Griffin. And the bases, I usually just put a coat of paint over it for a while until I get all settled and done with them. And then I'll start to brush into them some more of the dirt and grime stuff. And with that, I just use this AK stuff. This stuff works really well with a cheap brush, just kind of pushing it into the edges, and it paints up and it looks like, you know, it looks like earth, right? It looks dirty and earthy. And then I throw some of those plants in it and voila. I like basing. I did not realize how much I would like basing. When I first started, I was just like, whatever, finish this thing. And now I love putting detail work into the bases and getting like flowers and stuff on there. Getting rocks and trees. Anyways, I like basing a lot more than I thought I would. All right, that is actually popping out pretty well. So it's a little brighter than I had it just a minute ago. This is a good red. It's somewhat opaque and somewhat like there's a little bit of transparency to it. Let me see if let's see. Yeah, it paints on not like a contrast paint, but it's not super thick. It's almost like it has a medium applied to it already. Let's see. I'm gonna retouch over this electric symbol later on. I just want to get all this thing stippled in. I definitely like how these look stippled. Because like this one, I mostly did this stippling, like the whole way, just like stab, 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 stab. I like how this one turned out because, I don't know, it just looks so chaotic. Like it's fun. I don't know, because, okay, what I like is once you have this kind of thing going, then you can add like layers of detail afterwards. Like it's, you know, it's fun to go back over it afterwards, and even with this like this little pen thing, it's fun to just go back over it. I'm actually probably gonna pick up some more of these AK pens just to get like a gold, a few different colors, because these are really easy for touching things up, and it's kind of a different style of painting. I could easily just sit down while we're watching something on the TV or whatever and just get my markers and color on these guys. Because that's essentially what it's doing. It's definitely something I could take. I could take this guy and travel and have some of those markers with me. So, let's see. Gotta go. Talk to you later. I know what you mean. This stuff is expensive. It is a commitment of some sort. A trick I've seen, dust metal flake for cars. Well, that's interesting. Across still tacky paint of the same color to make them pop. Oh, that's a cool idea. Huh. So, hey, dust metal flake. So basically you'd use like a tacky paint of the same color with, okay, so it looks like it's coming off. That looks really cool. That sounds really cool. Too much for me, but Diorama Dave has lots of neat tricks. Okay, that's, yeah, I mean, that sounds like it might become a car that I don't want people to touch, which would be a problem because this is for my 8-year-old son to play with. So like this is one of my 8-year-old son's vehicles, and I plan on having him touch it and move it across the mat and everything. So that does sound awesome, but I probably wouldn't try and do it with one for Riker. Nick said, have a good night. If you do that, use green for the fluorescent to match the lore. Okay, thank you for telling me. I appreciate that. So Necron's green. I've seen that in some of the cinematics they have for them, and also some of the artwork, but I haven't actually heard any of the Necron lore. I generally like to listen to the lore videos before I start actually painting. So like I have the whole Imperial Agents army I'm going to paint, and I'm actually going to do two things for that. I'm going to listen to the lore for the Imperial Agents, but then also there's a dude on the Discord channel who's writing lore for me for specific characters. So I'm going to go through like their narrative stories for the characters and kind of like commingle that and then figure out how I paint them. But right now I'm trying to do orcs and Necromunda stuff. I think orcs are kind of the main priority so that I can get this stuff ready for Riker to play. And I know that I'm going to have to teach him mechanics for these first, which means I probably need to make videos of stories with these guys for Riker to watch. If I make videos with stories with these guys, like maybe with like still images, I think I could actually tell a story that Riker would want to play, and then he could see these guys on the table and maybe he'd want to like interact with them. Really have to plan things out with him to get him to actually like learn something, especially for a game. You can't just like I can't just set him down in front of a game and be like, "Hey, let's try and play this." He actually has to learn from a video first. All right. This is also working really well to dry brush on. So I'm just popping up some of the details on there, trying to bring it a little brighter. All right. Oh, yeah, sorry. So it has both of the doors that can still pop down. I've started using the markers on this side. I've almost finished it on this side. So that's after I use the markers over it. And yeah, I like it. It pops a lot more. Just this AK marker here. And I just draw on it like it's a color book. Oh yeah, I did it on the smokestacks a little bit here, just to leave kind of some red in the middle. Yeah. So that is the DACA truck. And my son helped me to paint that one. He helped me to build this one a little bit more. This one he hasn't helped me to paint, but he told me the colors we were going to use on it. So my son Riker is 8, and this is the color pattern for him, for his army. I want to try and, I have one of the race cars that I'm almost ready to spray paint, and I want to try and let him help me a little more with that one, because I actually want him to just do some stippling. I need to get him kind of in the morning to get him to actually engage with painting. The problem is sometimes I try and bring him to my streams to paint, and he's like tired, his medications have worn off, and by the time we actually get the stream going, he's just like, nope, I'm not into it. So I got to actually get him in the morning, and then we'll just sit and paint for a little while. He did a lot better when I got him like at about 10 o'clock in the morning, where he was actually engaged and he was doing this and we're telling jokes and stuff. So my mistake is I try and have him paint when I'm ready to paint, which is usually at nighttime. This is like, okay, I'm going to do this while we're going to bed. You know, sometimes I'll stay up like way too late. But that makes it nice because I can just kind of hang out here. My wife's in bed. You know, I'm in my bedroom. I don't know. It's nice to paint and have my wife be nearby. You know, it's like a nice bedtime routine. And she doesn't seem to mind the paint light at all, or at least she hasn't said so yet. All right. Yeah, I gotta say, so far, I like this. The AK paint is good. I would actually probably have to try it on a totally white model to see how it goes comparatively. Well, these are my wife's sisters. I was thinking about dabbing it on one of them, but no, she's been eager to paint them, so I'm going to leave those for her. Do I have anything white that I want to be red or that I don't mind repainting? Let's see. Kind of want to see how it looks just on this white. And it goes on very red. It's not like a dark red. It's just a simple red. And that's kind of what I was looking for this truck. And I think because I layered it up from a dark, it didn't go on as red. Yeah, looks nice. I'm not a bot, but we have a Discord channel with a small community. We recruit 40K YouTubers, and we talk about 40K and have some game nights. That sounds awesome, man. The best way I could probably get in touch with you is just join my Discord. So I have a Discord channel. It's linked up above. I'm not trying to get you to join my Discord to join your Discord, but if you don't even have to stick in it. If you just message me on Discord, yeah, I got no problem. I'll join your Discord and hang out. At least I like to share the stuff I'm painting. And yeah, if you guys are like YouTubers and you're doing games or something like that, I'm interested in connecting with people in like Warhammer stuff. So that sounds awesome. Let's see. Since one of your kids is playing NIDS, you should wind up with several sprues of gribbly bits to use on as body parts on bases. That's a good point. You know, I actually have a bunch of. Hang on, where is it? Here we go. This is. I got this from Home Depot. So this is my. Right now, this is my. What is it like? It's the nibbly bits, right? So I've started organizing it. I'm a little bit. Maybe I'm a little OCD with it. I probably am not as OCD as some people are, but I've sorted it into like little categories and subcategories. So I have like all kinds of heads here. This one is, these are like Space Marine pieces, like all Space Marine pieces. I think these are, I don't know what those are. Silenced guns. Some small kill team that turned into those. Anyways, this is mostly just from like kill team and the few 40K things that I've put together. A couple Age of Sigmar guys, like little bits. But this tackle box or whatever this is has worked really well for the moment. Just trying to like get bits organized. But I do realize that I'm starting to accrue like more bits than I had space for. So especially like now that I'm doing more vehicles. So I freed up one of these things. I used to have this for like just Lego pieces, mostly just like different colors, but now this will be, you know, my bit storage. And that's why I have stuck it down underneath here. Let's see. A bomb can of clear coat can help with a model's touchability. That's why Diorama Dave didn't freak out over bumps to his supermodels. How's it going, Dave Tennant? Hello, amigo. All right, I'm gonna keep dabbing this on here to get this red up a bit. Kind of want to finish this truck up soon. All I have left to do on this truck is the crane and the two guys. So I think tonight I'm actually gonna paint all the guys and finish up these two trucks and just do some detail work on them. And then I will put them in this bin. I'm gonna have to magnetize the bottom of them somehow because I want to put them in this bin and not have them jostle around. So I think this one should be easy enough to magnetize. I might just put magnets like right here under the wheels. I don't know. I'll see if I can actually get them to stick by just putting circular side magnets and see if it'll stick there. And I'll do the same thing if that works on the underside of this tank tread, because I want to be able to make a bucket of these vehicles. Like, it'll probably be like 3 of these, maybe 2 of these, if I can fit them in there parked properly. Anyway, so his whole army is pretty much going to be vehicles. All right, I'm probably going to wrap up there. Yeah, I've been on about an hour and a half or so. All right, I will get better. I'm sorry I missed the stream last week. I think we got ourselves so like kind of worked up, tearing apart Lego Town and all that. I had no idea how to pause and start a live stream. Building that war game table down there was a lot of work. That was like an entire week of just moving Lego sets around and rewiring things. So I'm really happy with the end results. I'm happy that the war game table is working the way it is. I'll actually do a video, like just a wide video kind of showing it, probably with like, you know, better camera work and stuff. Once I get it all lit up underneath. And if I can get some kind of drawer system or something that's a little bit fancy, you know, I don't know. I just want to get a little more organized underneath there because it's kind of messy right now. So once I get it kind of cleaned up, I will do a proper video of it. All right. How's it going, Elevator GM? I see you did not go to bed. Aren't you supposed to be going to bed early, sir? I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be in bed already, man. You got like a busy day tomorrow. All right, not gonna lie, I like this paint a lot. This goes on real smooth. I gotta get a comparison of this paint with the Vallejo, because the Vallejo red was my previous favorite red. There it is. Vallejo flat red. This was my previous favorite red. This might be my new favorite. And I'm not trying to find this one my favorite because this is bad for me. If I decide, you like Army Painter? Okay, I have the Army Painter one as well. I'm not a fan. Depending on which Army Painter. So I have this one, the old war paint one. I used to have all of the 2.0s, but I gave all the 2.0s to Landon because the 2.0s were way worse than the Citadel. I think I kept one row of 2.0s. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I kept like the skin tones and the pastels because the pastels were weird and I can't find anything else that makes this. There's a couple other like of these 2.0s that I actually like the color, but anyways, most of them I found pretty meh. GW's red kind of sucks outside of the technicals. I like their Baal red. Like their Baal red, this, nope, yeah, this one. This one is a solid red. It is a contrast red, but it's probably my favorite red so far, mostly to put on straight white. But I think this one might be my next favorite. Sounds like Riker is home. All right. I have most of the, wait, I missed one spot. I have most of the red spots that I want to be super red at this point. And I don't want to keep like futzing with this forever. So I'm going to switch over to the marker. All right. All right, that looks pretty good. I always say that, and then I find some spot that I want to touch up. Kind of want to get between the steps real clear. All right. Now that I know how well that marker works, it's real easy to just go over some of this stuff. So I can add a little more red back in here. Break out the Nuln Oil. Yeah, Nuln Oil is a very special, like, I don't know what they have in that mixture, but that is such a solid wash. So I got my son's friend Landon. He's now starting to paint miniatures, and he's kind of stoked about it. And he bought, so far as I know, he bought with his own money a Blood Bowl team today when we went to the game store. And I was like, that's awesome. This kid's getting into a hobby. He's liking it. He's stoked about like Blood Bowl and like getting his dad playing the game. I'm excited. Which you know, it made it so much cooler when we went to the like the convention, because Landon and Bishop, like, they really enjoy it together. Like it's like a thing that they share together. And now that they're both kind of getting into war games, like it's something they can be into together. That's not just video games, because they always had like such like different taste in video games. One would play a game, like Landon likes Pokemon games, and Bishop's like, that's lame. You know, so like they're very different in taste. Anyways, I'm just happy that they have like a hobby that they're now getting interested in together, more than just tabletop RPGs. All right. Yeah, I think this AK red paint is my new favorite red, because it is brightening up dark red, which is hard for red to do. Usually I have to go like with a layer of white, but this is like, I'm able to take this red. I'm able to take this red in this here. I'm gonna take that dark spot right there. That dark spot right there. I'm gonna take that, and I'm just gonna stipple this in over it. And it's actually brightening up on it real well. A lot of the other reds that I've used, I have to add like a layer of white first. I think I did the wrong side. I did do the wrong side. And this is actually the other reason I like painting the orc vehicles so much. It's so easy to get like the whole base coat down, because you just like stipple, 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 stipple. I don't know. It's easy to spread. It's fun to make patterns. Like I actually had a really good time making these weird patterns on here. Like this was fun to stipple on, because it looks crazy. You know what I mean? Like it has such crazy orc energy. I feel like I made like the Joker van. You know, I mean, this thing's, I don't know, this thing is really fun. I love painting orc vehicles. Yeah. So, all right. I'm gonna jump off there and check on Riker, make sure he's getting to sleep, and I'll be on next week, Thursday, assuming nothing goes wrong, assuming we don't take down any part of our house. I'll try and keep regular on Thursdays. And if I can, I'll probably try and make a schedule in the Discord for any other like live events that we're going to be doing. Because my friend Rodney, who's making the game that we play, the TTRPG we play, he's going to be doing his Kickstarter in the next few months. So there's probably like some live stuff we'll do, or some discussions, or maybe interviews or whatever. So as soon as I find those things out, I'll try and make a live stream schedule and keep it in the Discord channel in case you're interested in like coming and hanging out for these. So if you like getting together and painting together, we also do this type of thing on Discord. We were doing it every Monday, but now that I'm playing Kill Team on Mondays, we'll probably move it to Tuesdays. And I don't know, we'll name it something and have like a permanent Tuesday, like, you know, just hang out in Discord and paint and stuff. Usually we do like a BYOB. That helps people connect, you know, people getting to know each other online. So anyways, God bless you. Have a good night. Elevator GM, thanks for hanging out. Everyone else, thank y'all for hanging out. Just have a good night. I'll catch you on Discord later. God bless you.